Stop wasting your time typing out your prompts manually. This video, I'm going to show you the one app that actually changed my entire prompting system and genuinely 10x the amount of time that I saved when creating AI cinematic. If you don't know who I am, my name is Josh. I've been a 3D visual effects artist, and over the past year have adapted AI into my workflow, and it's completely changed the game for me. My goal is to teach you everything that I know. Now, saying that, let's get straight into it. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about using your voice instead of manually typing out things. I don't know if you've seen around recently, there's a craze of this going around where there's a whole lot of different apps popping up that allow you to transform your voice into text. And obviously they use AI with them, which helps translate your voice into more cohesive paragraphs. So why is this so life-changing? Well, the day that we live in today, there is so much typing and texting. And when it comes down to it, saying words is so much more efficient than typing them because we don't have the friction of, I guess, typing at the speed that we can type at. When you can just speak exactly your mind and the thoughts that come to it, and you can put it straight into text without even worrying about it, this becomes so much more efficient. If you're anything like me, and when you're in flow state and you have to type out things, for me personally, has always hindered my momentum. Another example of this is sending voice memos. If you anything like me, I used to always send voice memos because it was so much easier than typing. And I don't know about you, but a lot of people don't like to listen to voice memos because it just takes too long. You gotta sit there and listen to it instead of just reading it, okay? This basically cuts out that problem entirely. I can speak my voice and send someone a message, and then they can get a text and then just read it instead of listening to a voice memo, which has seriously changed my whole perspective and the way that I work because it's so much more efficient and there's so much less friction, which as a creative is very, very important. Now, point two is the actual one that I use. So I use Typeless. If you haven't heard of Typeless, I know there's quite a popular one going around at the moment. Whisperflow is quite a large one as well. The reason why I use Typeless is I guess it came down to price. At the end of the day, Whisperflow was a little too expensive for a voice memo app per month for me personally. So I found Typeless did everything that Whisperflow did, but just cheaper because I don't need to go out there and spend more money on more subscriptions when I'm already dealing with all these AI subscriptions. The reason why this one's pretty good as well, you can remove like filler words, and every time you repeat yourself, it'll correct that stuff. So you don't need to sit there and stop it, then restart and stop it and restart. You can just keep talking and it will put it into a coherent sentence. It also has a personal style, which I thought was pretty interesting too. I forgot to mention, this is not a sponsored video at all. They did reach out to me asking if I wanted to take a look at their product, and they're not paying me to make this YouTube video like at all. So all of this is my honest thoughts and honest opinion. So point three, this kind of helped me comprehend how to even prompt, is having that director mindset. Because say you're working on set, which we do quite a lot, and you're communicating with people, having that same kind of communication where I could sit here and talk to the AI like I would talk to a team of people has made it immensely easier because I could talk what's inside my head instead of trying to figure out what's a describing word that I can use, or how do I spell this word that I've never heard of before. Like just these things that cause friction within the process just make it so much more harder to do. So having that director mindset where I can sit here and describe exactly what I'm looking at, exactly the camera movement, and exactly the set that it is like the feel and the vibe of everything, right? In the next point, I'll give you an exact example of how I do that specifically because there's a formula to it and it actually works really well every single time. And I'll give you a live example. So describing exactly what you want. So what it is just having that mindset of being a director, but actually imagining how would you talk to someone on set? For example, if you're talking to the camera guy, think about the camera guy. How are you going to get your point across to the camera guy? What is the idea that you're trying to get across? What's the thought process, right? So you say to him, hey, can you make sure this shot pushes in extremely slowly? Let's focus on the upper body, let's go from the waist up. Let's push in, track him, keep it in the middle. Let's use the steady cam gimbal. Maybe let's jib this one. Let's use a jib, or let's just use a tripod for the shot, right? Keep it completely still, static with no movement at all. Or maybe put it on tripod, but just tilt, or, let's just zoom in for this one, or whatever it might be. Saying words like that, comprehending it like that. And then also, let's say, for example, for the lighting guy, right? You go to the lighting guy about, hey, can you make the lighting like this? And say if you had an example to show them, they'll be like, oh, yes, of course I can do that. That's easy, right? That's the same as AI. AI can look at images and be like, oh yeah, okay, this is that type of lighting. Okay, let me turn that into a prompt for you so you can use it to see and generate the next scene with the same lighting. Like AI is genuinely getting ridiculous. And the fact that I can speak to it and it understands that it can help me build out these prompts and I can create no friction at all is kind of insane. Now, number four is my 3-step process. Okay. I've spoken about this a little bit before, but this is how I dictate videos, right? So images are a little bit different. You can still obviously use your voice, but you would probably dictate it just a little bit more differently because we have the support and help from other AIs, right? Using like LLMs, like ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, where you can, like I said before, you can give them an image. There's no camera movement, right? We're kind of just describing the lighting. This one is more so dictating the movement of everything, right? We're turning it into, we're animating. So this is the process, is set the scene. So I found, especially when you start off every single prompt with describing just a quick sentence of the scene on what you see, helps the AI, even though it might be obvious. Maybe you got a guy standing there on a mountain or something like that, center of the frame, and it might be obvious to you, but remember this: like, AI aren't humans. It's a robot that it assumes on what it's looking at, right? It's assuming. It's not actually perceiving, like we have relationships to everything, right? In front of me is a computer monitor. It might not have the exact same relation to a computer monitor than humans do, right? We use a monitor to do things on it. An AI has never used a monitor in its life, right? It doesn't need to because it doesn't have eyes. So it's assuming on what it sees. So if you start off a sentence with describing our scene, it will help it understand of like, okay, it doesn't need to guess. It's just, it's going straight to the point of like, okay, this is what the scene's about. Awesome. Now what's the camera? So next is describe the action of the scene. So if you have an actor in your scene, after you describe the setting, go and describe the action. What is the action? Is the person standing still? Is he doing a backflip? Is he flying through the sky? What is he doing? And describe it in as many details as you possibly can. And what I mean by that is describe it in like multiple angles. So for example, if he's standing still, make sure you mention standing still in the same spot. He's idling, looking around, admiring his environment, or maybe he bends down, picks up a rock. But you know, if he bends down and picks up a rock, how is he bending down and picking up a rock? Is he doing it fast? Is he doing it slow? Maybe he's confused and looks down. Like, all these little things is like different emotions that you can add to it. If you don't give it exactly the idea and the emotion behind it on how a human should act when they're doing something, it's just guessing at that point, and it's not really going to give you the results, obviously, that you're looking for. And we want to make sure we get the results that we're looking for. And the next point is the camera movement. Is the camera, like I said before, is it static on a tripod? And if it is, just say, you can say static on a tripod with no movement at all, or maybe it's like with no movement at all. Let's just pan up, pan to the right, or let's tilt up, or it's on a steady cam pushed in extremely slowly, or it's on a dolly, right? So your steady cam is completely different to a dolly. A dolly is more so just pushing forwards flat, right? There's so many things to it. And I encourage you to like kind of grow your knowledge in kind of camera terms or film terms, because it kind of helps the idea. If we're saying, cinematic film, it's going to think in that area of terms. Okay. So quick breakdown: scene, action, then the camera, right? Break it down in those kind of aspects. And now, last point, 5. I'm going to quickly touch on this. It's not going to take too long because this is pretty much the exact same concept, but this is just more for image generating. So I just showed you video generating, image generation, exactly the same, but we just have a little bit more options to play around with, because when it comes to using AI for images, we can get LLMs like Claude or ChatGPT to analyze those images and to pick apart it for us and create prompts. When it comes to videos, AI can examine videos, and we could probably do the exact same thing if we wanted to. I feel like it's just unnecessary because it's a bit easier to prompt a video, especially now that we can just speak it instead of actually like typing it. So you'll see here, like, we can take a prompt. Say if I was just to speak it, just what's the thought in my head? It's like, okay, I want this, I want this certain scene to be done, which is here. And then we can give it to AI to make it clearer and more specific and more detailed. And we can emphasize in certain areas if we wanted certain styling or whatever it might be. Now, for images, like I said, exactly the same too. And then so what we also have as well is references, right? We can use references to dictate our images, which saves us so much time. It's like giving our video prompt that starting part, which is so important for me, like, is giving it the setting, right? If we're telling AI to be cinematic, what the hell is cinematic? Cinematic is such a human thing, right? It's such a, it's very, very broad. Cinematic does not mean the same thing for you as it does for me. So if we tell it cinematic, it's going to have no clue what it's talking about. But if we give it an image and be like, hey, keep this cinematic look, it's going to have more of an understanding of exactly what you're talking about. So now here's a fantastic example of all this real quick. So you can see here, this is a recent cinematic I did. Looks pretty awesome. But the problem was that there was so much. Like, as you can see, there's all of these. So the way I have it laid out is we have the image and then we have the video next to it. Image, video, image, video. So all of these are their images and then the videos next to them. This is me after purging them. This was all done beforehand. It was. So after I purged them all and went through them, we then had these results. Like, some of these look, look at these. These look fantastic. So how do you go through efficiently and animate every single one without sitting there typing over and over and over again? And that's where we can use our voice, all right? So for example, for a shot like this, you can see here the result. Let's have a look. So he's just standing there, right? That's a super easy shot. So we have these really easy shots, very simple. This shot's a little bit more complex. So the prompt that I use for this, if we open up the prompt, you're going to see the layout. So if I paste this in here so we can analyze it. So you're going to see here, this is the 3 steps. We've got the 1, 2, and then we have 3. Right. And you're going to see if I was to take you through every single one of these, they all have this exact same layout where we describe the scene. So you can see I described the scene for it, which is exactly what I'm looking at. Right. I just sat here and said the scene begins with our main subject standing there, center frame on a sunny day with a clear sky, staying on top of a snowy mountain. There is snow landscape behind him off in the distance, surrounded by snowy rocks, which is what I see. And then on the right of frame is a little water stream flowing down to the right. So you can see down here, there's a little tiny water stream, just in case the AI might not have picked that up, right? It's analyzing the scene and it doesn't actually know. As humans, we can see that. We like, no, that's water, but that's because of our relationship with this stuff, right? AI is just maths and numbers at the end of the day, okay? It doesn't have a relationship with this stuff. After we've done that, what's our character? So our character stands still, looking around at his perspective and his surroundings, posing, modeling, idling with no movement, right? So he's just standing still, and that's exactly what he did. And then our camera is completely still, static, on a tripod, pointing directly at our subject. And that's pretty much it. And then that's what it gave us at the end of the day. So now if I was to go through and take you through every single one of these, you're going to see exactly this same layout multiple times, because this is the layout that has completely changed my, like, just how I do everything. So we're going to see here. See, this one's a bit of a tricky one too. This one was a lot harder for the AI to get, because if you imagine, look, what is it looking at the moment? Okay, so it sees our character here in the foreground, but we're not focusing on our character because it's blurred out. We're focusing on the background, but the AI doesn't really know that. It just thinks our character is just out of focus. So we want it to know what it's looking at. So the snowy mountains in the background with clouds on a sunny day. The shot is using a telephoto lens. Our main character stands in the foreground, out of focus, posing, fixing his gloves. That's exactly what it does. Let's have a look. Right? And then as the camera is focusing on the background, our character remains completely still, standing in the exact same spot. The camera is static, fixed on a tripod with no movement at all, right? And you can see that with this camera on, it's just completely static on a tripod. I repeated this twice. It's like the camera is focused on the background. So that's like the action right there. So I kind of broke it up a little bit more into a little bit more of an so that I could really understand, because it's kind of a confusing scene, right? And made sure it was completely like clear. So I went through and I literally just sat here and went through every single one and just said that. Like, it was the same exact process every single time. The AI struggles with shots like this. The reason why it struggles with a shot like this is because it's a close-up. It doesn't know exactly what it's looking at. So if we were to break this scene down, it's very important we add this first part in here, because this part is exactly, we're telling it what it's looking at. When I first generated this, I deleted it, but when I first generated it, it has no clue what it's looking at. It's confused. It doesn't realize that this is a person. Who knows? It might be a manic. It might not even recognize it's a person at all, because it's such a close-up. It has no details to show you. Like, has no eyes, no mouth, no face, right? It just has glasses. So we tell it exactly what it's looking at, so it knows, and all it's got to do is just focus on exactly the result that we want. And this is the result that we got, which is pretty freaking sweet. I ended up recording this entire project as well, like all the way from start to finish. I think it's like 7 hours or so of just prompting, generating, editing, sound design, everything. I have it all on my community as well. So if you're, I guess, curious at all on the glimpse and behind all of this as well, I've shared it with the community. If you're looking to go a little bit more in depth to that as well, like, I'll have the link down below. This was fun to do and it turned out pretty sweet as well. So that's exactly how I have been able to take advantage of the whole process of when it comes to using my voice to text. And I recommend using it in your life. If you struggle with friction at all, like for me personally, you know, I've got an ADHD brain. So I'm like, if there's any type of friction at all, I get distracted and I lose focus very easily. So this has completely changed the way I work and the way I do things. I recommend integrating it into your prompting system as well, because it genuinely will save you 10 times the amount of time. Like, seriously, like I recommend giving it a go. Like I said, if you want to check it out, it'll be in the description below. If you're interested in school at all, check that out as well. If you want to be a part of a community and share your work and get advice, always happy to help. You do daily calls there too, so come join, say hi, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching this. Hopefully you guys got something good from this, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.